June 11th, Wednesday, a reflection by Reverend Father Clifford Atta Anim. Today we remember St. Barnabas Apostle. Our Gospel reading is from Matthew chapter 10, verses 7 to 15. He called the 12 and sent them out, sharing in the mission of Christ, as we hear in Matthew chapter 10, verses 1 through 15, also reflected in Mark chapter 6, verses 7 to 13, and Luke chapter 9, verses 1 to 6. In today's Gospel, Jesus calls the 12 and sends them out on mission. This moment, marks a decisive turn in the public ministry of Christ, the transition from doing the work of proclaiming the kingdom to delegating that same mission to his disciples. The commissioning of the 12 is not merely a historical note, it's a profound template for Christian mission in every age, including our own. The apostolic mission, sent with authority, guided by simplicity. Then Jesus summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to cure every disease and every sickness, as we read in Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. Jesus does not send his apostles out empty-handed. He gives them authority not only to speak but to heal and liberate. This honestly echoes God's action in Exodus chapter 3, verse 10, when he sends Moses to free Israel from slavery, or in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8, where the prophet responds, "Here I am, send me." Yet this authority is not for personal gain or prestige. Jesus' detailed instructions insist on simplicity and dependence on divine providence. Take no gold or silver or copper, no bag for your journey or 2 tunics, as we hear in Matthew chapter 10, verses 9 to 10. Why? Because the mission of the kingdom is not about wealth, status, or self-promotion. It is about trust in God, solidarity with the poor, and freedom from attachments that hinder the gospel. In contrast to the corrupt religious leaders of the time, some of whom were honestly entangled in greed and power, the apostles are meant to be walking signs of God's mercy and freedom. They're called to rely on the hospitality of the faithful and to announce God's peace, as we see in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verses 5 to 6. And this really does align with the ancient Jewish understanding of hospitality as something sacred, like we find in Genesis, chapter 18, verses 1 to 8 and 2. Now the content of the mission is pretty clear: proclaim, heal, and liberate. Jesus tells the apostles, as you go, proclaim the good news, the kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. That's from Matthew chapter 10, verses 7 to 8. So this commission actually contains 3 core elements. First, proclamation, kerygma. The kingdom isn't just some distant dream, it's drawn near in the person of Jesus. Second, healing, therapeia. God's reign brings wholeness to body, mind, and spirit. And third, liberation, exorcismos. The forces of evil are confronted and defeated. And these are not just symbolic gestures. They really do express God's tangible love for real suffering people. Plus, they actually anticipate the Paschal mystery, where the ultimate healing and liberation happen through the cross and resurrection. The call to be sent is not limited to just the 12. By virtue of our baptism, every Christian is called to be a disciple and sent as an apostle. The Second Vatican Council affirms this in Lumen Gentium number 31. The laity, by their very vocation, seek the kingdom of God by engaging in temporal affairs and ordering them according to the plan of God. So how do we live this apostolic calling today? True evangelization, it begins with personal testimony. It's not just about preaching doctrines, but sharing how Christ has changed our lives. As St. Paul says, we do not proclaim ourselves, we proclaim Jesus Christ as Lord and ourselves as your slaves for Jesus' sake. Our kindness, honesty, forgiveness, and courage to stand for what is right, these are living signs of the kingdom. Many around us are trapped, not always by demons as in ancient exorcisms, but by modern forms of bondage. Addictions to substances, the grip of pornography, obsession with wealth, violence, materialism, and even digital distractions. These unclean spirits rob people of dignity and peace. The mission of Christ still includes liberation. But this freedom, it comes through love, community, accountability, and especially through the healing power of prayer, sacraments, and pastoral care. As Jesus reminds us, freely you have received, freely give, from Matthew chapter 10, verse 8. So here's something to consider. Do I live with the simplicity Jesus asked of his apostles, or do I perhaps rely a bit too much on my own resources and comfort? Do I witness to the kingdom of God through my actions, my hospitality, my treatment of the poor and the broken? Have I allowed Christ to free me from the demons that bind me? And am I helping others find that same liberation? Like the 12, we are not alone on this journey. We are sent in community, supported by the Spirit, and entrusted with a message that the world honestly still desperately needs to hear. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest, as we hear in Luke chapter 10, verse 2. May we respond like Isaiah, "Here I am, Lord, send me." God bless you.